All right, so I want to talk about this new feature on Threads. It's probably just for the holiday, but it is whatchamacallit. It's a falling. And I want to talk about it because if you're someone who wants to go into tech, but you're not an engineer, this is really important for you, right? So this is how you spot the skills that are needed and that you can bring into tech. So with that said, I'm gonna move the camera because I feel like I'm just looking at myself. Okay. So the tweet or the thread that I wrote was, um, it's why is my thread snowing? I'm in Ghana, and I know y'all know my location. And the responses have been ooh, all over the place, right? Like the responses have been people agreeing, people being like, I don't get it, people being like, why are you complaining? Um, so let's see what the top one is. So I don't know if I have a top. Okay, so no, so the top one says universalism. Is the universalism of whiteness honestly so annoying? And that is why this is kind of annoying because it's just like it does not snow in Ghana. It does not snow in Nigeria. It does not snow in Jamaica. And I get it because some other people were like, well, it's supposed to demonstrate the holiday season. But the idea of the universalism of whiteness is simply saying that if you know my location, which I know they know, why are you giving me snow? Either give me, I don't know, Hamatan dust or give me some generic other seasonal thing, which is more inclusive than giving me snow, which is not relevant to a good chunk of their users. So, again, the absurd part here is Ghana is hot, this heat, there's sun. So I don't need to see a snow animation. I really don't. And this is a small thing, but small things reveal big design problems. So, why this does this is that some people see it on face value and it's like, it's annoying, we're sweating, WTF. And other people are on the relax, it's just Christmas vibes thread. And the thing here that I want to press on is that whether you liked the snow or not, whether you feel like, oh, it's just Christmas vibes or not, the point is why this decision exists at all, right? And that is what I want to get into. Because on a global system, when you're in tech, there's so many things that you need to think about. You need to think about the global part of things. You need to think about the localized situation on a global level. The company needs to be able to have policies, procedures where you have one brand, one code base, one operational playbook, one set of guardrails. However, on the localized side of the output, you need to have different visuals, different defaults, different cultural contexts, different climate realities. And that is what makes people enjoy something when someone feels seen. So, if your product assumes that everyone experiences the world the same way, you don't have a global product, you have an exported one. And I just want to say that again. If your product assumes everyone experiences the world the same way, you don't have a global product, you have an exported one. And some things work when you export it, but most things do not. Right. So I really want to lean into that a little bit. And when we look at something like this, I start to think about all the different roles that were needed in order to even get this pushed out. And it's a small project, so maybe it was just a PM and, it's a cosmetic change. So maybe it doesn't matter, right? And it's bad design because snow is climate specific, it's not universal. It signals winter, not holidays. And it centers one hemisphere and pretends the rest doesn't exist, right? That's a message that we're kind of getting. And this is what happens when teams build from HQ outward instead of from users inward. And this is why folks who may not be engineers or super technical, so these are people who are in product, UX, that's user experience, operations, brand, all these people, and obviously engineers touch this feature, but the folks that are in product or user experience operations, brand, marketing, if it was a bigger project and they were more involved, That's where you start asking questions of like, well, who benefits from this? Who is seen and who's not seen? Because again, this is not the biggest challenge in the world right now or even in tech, but it points to you who needs to be in the room to have these conversations. Because if someone is in there from a branding perspective, they might be thinking about, oh, what is the message of the company? Are we a company that says we are global? Maybe we should do something that's more global oriented. If you have someone who's a user experience researcher, maybe they're looking at data to see, hey, what do people want? Where are people at? And how does this design impact how people interact with the app? And all of these roles, you don't need to be an engineer for. You simply need to have a background where you are comfortable with looking at data. You're comfortable with talking to people. You think about how people will be impacted. And for me, I come from a social work background, and now I work in tech. So I've done a number of the roles I mentioned above, and in each of them, I'm thinking about these things when we're rolling things out, right? And it's essential to know that hey, these opportunities are available to me. So if you want to work in tech, I want you to divorce the idea that you have to be um, very technical and an engineer. However, if you are someone who thinks in systems first, who knows how to design for scale, and even though you're designing for scale, you advocate for local agency, you will do this really well. Because your job is not to make something that works once, your job is to make something that works everywhere without flattening people, especially with something like social media where people going on there to feel seen, to be connected. So, I mean, in a way, this connected people because you had two camps of some people being like, why is this here? And other people being like, this is great. So you brought conversation, which on that end is great. But I also wonder what other conversation could have been brought to the table if there were other things, right? So maybe we were sharing our cultural context. So if you're in a place like Ghana, Hamatan, which is like a wind, dust, dry winter, not really, if you will. Also, I find it like interesting when you're trying to describe local things in a way that people in the US or whatever would understand. I'm just like, I mean, it's colder here for the locals, but it's Hamatanis is wind and dust. So maybe if you had flakes, if you had red flakes falling rather than snow, that could be a conversation. And granted, I know this is a lot more work, so that's not necessarily what I'm advocating for in this, but maybe it could just be anyone who traditionally has something that's under, I don't know, 45 degrees gets snow. Anyone who has above that gets sun, something like that. I don't know. But that is that. So it's really not about critiquing the actual snow thing. I think it was just like, why am I seeing snow? I'm in Ghana. And with the way the tech works, my location. But I also thought about what does it mean with who's in the room and what skill set they have. And this is where people who don't have or who don't lean into the engineering mindset or engineering skill set can still succeed because you have judgment, you have human judgment. And a lot of the things that we're building, especially with AI, is all about human judgment. So if you're looking to pivot over to tech, I think this is like a really great thing to think about. And maybe some options that could have worked would have been, I don't know, neutral holiday motif, region-based rituals, or maybe I could have just opted in and been like, actually, don't, I'm good, and I don't need to see snow. I don't know. Um, but more importantly is when it comes to product marketing, branding, user research, even enablement. This didn't need enablement, but all those things require people without technical backgrounds to succeed. So with that, good tech doesn't just reach everyone, it recognizes where they are. And that's really, really important. This wasn't a catastrophic. This wasn't a catastrophic. I'm like some words. Failure. It wasn't like a big failure, but it was a bit of a revealing one. And people who notice these things are usually the people who make better operators, product thinkers, and leaders later. So I think that includes you if you're watching this, especially to the end. So if you're someone who's looking to move over to tech and needs some help translating your skills and to see what actually works for you, reach out. I would love to work with you. I do all sorts of things around career engagement and moving forward with your career. So if you are looking to switch from a non um, tech role into the tech world or into corporate and you're wondering what skill sets transfer, reach out. I'd be happy to chat and figure out what your skill sets are. All right. See you tomorrow.